There's this moment right after you book your flights when the real work begins. What towns do you actually want to explore? What restaurants do you want to eat at? What's the ferry schedule? And where is that link for the food tour that you really wanted to go on? It's really exciting until it becomes overwhelming. In this video, I'm going to show you how to use NotebookLM plus Gemini to curate trusted travel research. Turn that into an interactive podcast that you can actually ask questions to, and even create mini applications and websites to share with family and friends who are going on the trip with you. The first thing you're going to do is pull up notebooklm.google.com. This is a Google product, but this video is not sponsored by Google. But Google, if you're listening, let me check my content calendar. Yes, I have availability. When you pull up NotebookLM, the screen will look something like this. Now, these are all of the notebooks that I have that I'm working on. No judgment on some of my projects here, but what you would do is just create a new project. For this example, we're gonna plan a trip to Italy. It's a popular place for a lot of people, maybe traveling there this summer, maybe planning a trip for next year. The first screen that's gonna pop up is add sources. And this is a great time to explain the difference between NotebookLM and a lot of the other common AI tools like ChatGPT or Claude. You are going to upload the sources to NotebookLM, and it is only going to use its AI to build and answer your questions off of the sources that you're inputting. I think that is really neat because it's not scraping from the whole internet. You get to hand pick the YouTube videos, the presentations, the PDFs, whatever you want to plug in there, and that's how it's going to build your itinerary. So to all the people who get mad about the AI tools, you don't plan your own trips anymore, half the fun is the planning. You're still doing a ton of planning with this. You're still scouring different sources, but now you are hand picking them and you're just using the AI to read 30, 40 different source materials and then pull out and highlight the gems and nuggets from those. I think that is so powerful. Let's jump in on how to use this. Before they implemented the Discover Sources button up here, what you would do is go to YouTube. Camden David, I know, is a YouTuber that I've watched before, and he really does cover some great tips. So what I would do is grab the link, so copy link address from this video, and then I would put it in NotebookLM. Then I would continue to scour the internet for different sources that I want to use. Peruse through those sites, top 14 things to do in Rome, 15 very best things to do in Rome, Italy. One thing I do know is this is a very trusted travel website. So I would copy this one, and then I would add another source, and now that has been added to our source list. So you can see this can take a little bit of time, but you are hand curating your sources that AI is going to pull from. So this is an important piece to the puzzle if you want it to work well. But there is a feature that can speed this up. You can go to Discover. You can try to type a prompt in Discover that will lead you to highly reputable sources. When discovering sources, you want to be fairly specific with your prompt. Once you submit that, NotebookLM will get to work. What you can do from here is just select all, or you can go through these manually. So the 16 best things to do in Rome. Let me pull up that website by just clicking on that little link out in the top. And I know this is a reputable travel website. I can scroll through a few things. Obviously the Colosseum. Okay, this looks pretty good. Probably has a good basic overview of what we're gonna wanna do. For the sake of the video, I'm just gonna leave all of these in here. So we'll import those. And sometimes it won't be able to pull in one of these. All you do is just delete that source out of there if it says source error. I'm gonna say find PDF documents from small travel blogs that highlight the best places to eat in Rome and Florence. It found us 10 sources based on that. Now, the PDF thing for me pulls off these sources in the internet that just are a little bit more unknown and that we might not be able to find. So let's see if NotebookLM came up with anything. Here we have one that's just titled Street Food. Let's click on it. Now, this is a Rome travel guide PDF. I'm not sure where it came from, but it does say it was uploaded in 2025. To me, this is cool. Even like we're finding hidden gems, there's like pizzerias on here, street food. So this in and of itself might be a great document for you to save. Great example here of the AI not being very accurate, which is why you should check some of these. So we'll uncheck that source. Then we come down to this one, just says untitled, contains a snippet. I would just uncheck that. This is ultimate pizza recommendations in Naples. We're not going to be in Naples. So we're just going to import these. The last piece of the import sources that I want to go over is maybe an audio or an MP3 file. So if you want to download a really interesting podcast that you heard, you can actually insert that in here. Or let's say you and your wife were talking. So I'm just going to record a voice note, and then we can upload that into the AI, and it can take some of this information into account while we're planning. I was going between two hotels.
Don't be cheap.
Got it. I'll pick the other hotel. Okay. But there is this tour, and I don't know, it was with the kids.
Babe,
one tour.
Don't be cheap.
So if it goes like that, maybe you wouldn't put that in the AI. So we have our PDFs, our YouTube videos, and our websites all ready to go. Now, if I were to comb through all of these to find the absolute gems and nuggets, it would take me such a long time. So one of the coolest things that you can do with all of these sources is create an audio overview. What you are doing is customizing your own personal podcast based on the sources that you've pulled. Then I would click Generate. While we wait for this custom podcast to be generated in real time, it usually takes about 4 to 5 minutes. This would be a great time for a workout break. Now, your custom podcast is ready and you got fitter at the same time. Talk about efficiency. If you haven't seen this before, it is one of the coolest things that I've seen AI do.
Today, we're tackling a mountain of info, digging through travel blogs, Reddit, guides like Fodor's, even YouTube, all focused on 2 incredible Italian cities.
That's right, Rome and Florence.
Wow. The first time I heard this, I was blown away. It is a custom AI-generated podcast based on the actual pieces of data, the research that we put in there. So you can take this, download it, listen to it on the go. I want to create these while I'm travel planning, trip planning, and just listen to them on my way to work, on a walk, and it would just fill me with knowledge and information that will help make my trip that much better. I'm not talking about just spitting out an itinerary. We're talking about filling you with knowledge to make the trip that much more enriching. We haven't even gotten to the best part yet. Check this out. You're listening to the episode. Maybe you forgot something that you wanted to put in, and you can try interactive mode. Like you can insert yourself into the conversation. Let me show you how that works. I can press this join button.
Oh, our listeners got something to share. Let's hear it.
I forgot to mention that I'm a little bit budget conscious. So I want you to include things where I can save a little bit of money.
Oh, that's excellent to know. Being budget conscious is so smart for travel.
Absolutely. And we've actually stumbled across quite a few tips that can help with that.
What's fascinating here is how many of the recommendations for a richer, more local experience also happen to save you money.
Okay, let's unpack this with your budget in mind. When we talked about getting from the airport in Rome.
Right, the Leonardo Express.
That's amazing. That is in and of itself absolutely amazing. It doesn't deviate a ton as I played around with that interactive feature, but that's still in beta. It's probably only going to get better. The fact that a podcast is created specifically on the sources that I want to learn about, it in and of itself is really an amazing feat. If you thought that was neat, just wait and see what we have in store for the rest of this video. We're going to close that part down. And I'm going to go to Google Gemini. What I found is NotebookLM is not the best at prompting me on the right prompt to write. And I know that sounds confusing, but stay with me. It is a hack to ask AI how to prompt itself. These being both Google products, I like to stay within Gemini and use NotebookLM. So I'm going to ask Gemini the best way to prompt NotebookLM. I also put in the bottom something to highlight. Remember, NotebookLM does not take in large prompts. Sometimes Gemini or Claude or Chat will spit out really, really long prompts, but it does not work that great for NotebookLM. You have to keep it really concise. Here is the prompt. Generate a 10-day itinerary. I'm going to copy that, come back in here, paste it here in my prompt. Now NotebookLM is working on generating a 10-day itinerary from the sources that I trust. I asked it to not include source tags because I'm going to copy and paste this into Gemini for something else. If you really take your sources seriously from the beginning, then you can really tailor your itinerary, the style, your trip to the things that you actually like. So general tips for a trip are included in here, and then we have here Rome, morning activity, afternoon activity, and an evening activity. Then we have day 2, day 3, it goes all the way through. I want to take this a step further. We're going to go back into Gemini. This is our whole itinerary from NotebookLM. We're going to make sure we turn on canvas mode, and then we're going to paste our itinerary in there and ask Gemini to create an interactive website for us where we can pull in different options and make it fun, make it something that we can actually use with our family instead of presenting them with all that text. Now, you can see over on the side, absolutely amazing. Gemini is getting to work on coding this for us. That took about 60 seconds. And here we are on our interactive trip planner. I mean, we have emojis on here, we have the Rome itinerary, the Florence itinerary. Yeah, this is not like deployable for you to go sell, but how cool would this be to pull up at dinner or present to your partner and say like, hey, look at the research I did, and now look at how it's in this amazing format, and you can just share this website with them. So you can go into the Rome itinerary. It can describe what you're going to be doing. It can let you heart the different locations so you can show which one that you enjoy or you're looking forward to. It's going to keep track of those over here in my itinerary. And you can go to the Florence piece, scroll down, and see things all laid out in a nice, comprehensive way. I didn't even prompt this to say, make it in Italian colors and stylize the font in this certain way. You can attach pictures and you can make this really, really cool. Sorry, I'm up early working on this edit. Something is just not right. Let's go outside. I think we're using AI wrong in this case, and I'm not portraying the right way to use it in the video. Let's take this line of information. This is a huge line of information that we're trying to condense down. TLDR, put it into the AI, and then all of a sudden we're supposed to absorb the information. That's not how our brains work. That's not how it works. Okay, sure, if you need to save time on an email, draft a document to the boss and have it read over a spreadsheet, use AI. You condense information, save time. That is a beautiful thing, and that's not what I'm trying to avoid. When we're trying to travel, when we're trying to figure out why there's a goal on the beach in Uruguay, we want to learn about the beaches. We want to learn about the Colosseum. And before, when we used to read a book and it was based on stories, we were able to learn. So that's why I encourage you to make that audio deep dive, to then listen to it, make a couple more, then interact with the AI. And not about a fancy prompt, more just about asking a deeper question. Then when you show up in Rome, you'll understand why the Colosseum's there, because you spent time with that information. Yeah, if you're wondering, I brought the drone and the camera, the whole setup down to the beach this morning just to capture that visual. So if you could hit the like and subscribe button for the effort, that would mean so much as a small creator. Thank you. All right, back into the studio section of NotebookLM. The audio overview, AI overview, is really going to be the pinnacle of what you're going to get out of this as far as travel planning goes, in my opinion. You can create a study guide or an FAQ, which I did not do, that is more for academia or if you're trying to study for something. But the briefing doc and timeline don't apply as much to travel. So the timeline, as you can see, tons of information. If you're really into history, this is wild that you can pull all this from your fingertips. But I don't think it's going to add a ton to your travel experience unless you're really into that stuff. The briefing doc goes over everything that's pulled from all of these sources, which personally, I think the AI generated podcasts and the specific questions are a little bit more intuitive for the travel scenario. But what you should do is lean into specific questions. Can you pull 5 specific tours for us to go on? So a one-day trip from Florence by Walkabout Tours, Colosseum, and a hill-guided tour, Walks of Italy. So now I can take some of this stuff and I can add my own note. So if I have those specific tours and I like that prompt, I want it spit out, I can copy that and paste it in here. Then I can start to look up some of these and link them and 5 memorable tours in your Italian journey. It's just going to title that note already. And then boom, that goes in there. Now, if you go to your notebooks, it saves all that information. So next time you go to ChatGPT and you're like, oh, right, can it pull that prompt up? Or you're not paying for the pro version. This is going to be right here. Your epic family trip, it's going to leave you off right where you were. What are some recommended places to eat? You can dive right back into your research. And I feel like when it comes to travel planning and when it comes to having all of these different links and tabs open, this can provide so much value. If you enjoyed this video and you want more AI tutorials, check out this one, where I break down how to create a custom Google My Maps using AI. It is a real travel game changer. If you're tired of the AI stuff, then check out this video for some real life reviews on 1-star travel products. I love you for being here.